Hi everybody, welcome back to today's ChickQuest Adventure. We're so glad that you've joined us today to learn more about eggs and chicks and science. Remember, these adventures are brought to you by GrowNextGen.org and the Ohio Soybean Council in partnership with Education Projects. Let's look over here at what's hatched out. Today's lesson, you guys, is all about the next steps. So how do we make these chicks comfortable in their new habitat? These are the chicks that have hatched out during our ChickQuest adventure. We had 20 eggs that were in our incubator, and 14 of our chicks hatched out in the last 24 hours. Look at these chicks. These chicks are having a great time in here. They're jumping on top of the feeder. They're nestled down in the corner getting ready to take a nap. They're even drinking some water. Look how different they all look. Sometimes hatches are more successful than others. Let's take a minute to look at what the chicks are doing. Do you see anything that seems unusual to you? What did we say all habitats need for chicks to survive and thrive? One of the things we talked about was food. As the chicks were developing inside of their egg, remember, the food was in the egg for them. Let me show you a chick. After the chick is getting ready to hatch, right here in this big part of the belly, it absorbs the egg yolk through the placenta. And that's what the chick can live on for the next 3 days' time. So for 72 hours, that chick does not need to have food or water because the yolk itself will keep the chick fed. What are some other things that we said that we need in a habitat like this? Remember, we talked about water. We've got our water dish over here. It's important that with chicks, after they hatch, you show them where the water dish is so that they can get plenty of water and stay hydrated. We also discussed the possibility of chick food. Remember, chicks need a specialized diet. So these chicks are eating a chick feed that is specialized just for them to help them grow big and strong. We also need to be careful that in the chick's habitat, we have a bedding that will not harm the chicks. Right now, I've got a bunch of shredded paper that I use for my chicks. Remember, shredded paper is great because it's another way to use a material. It also helps us to make sure that we're being a little more sustainable in our environment. And when the chicks are done with this shredded paper, I can then go ahead and make sure that I'm putting it in my compost bin. Finally, the chicks need a safe enclosure. After they hatch out of their egg, we put them in what's called a brooder box. The brooder box helps to make sure that the chicks are in a safe environment when they are small and fragile, just like this. Finally, one of the things that they do still need are lots of good warm temperature. So as you can't see it on the webcam right now, but as I move this light, maybe you can see that there are a heat light here that is helping to maintain a good temperature to keep them warm. When chicks hatch out, they need to be at 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit. For the first week or so in their brooder box, they should be able to maintain that temperature. They should also be able to drop about 5 degrees in temperature every 5 days or so. So if you have chicks at home, you would need to make sure that you have a safe brooder box, good bedding. Sometimes bedding can be pretty slippery, so we have to be careful. We also need to make sure we have a good source of food that they can have access to, and a good source of water, and a heat light or some other means of keeping them warm. Remember, in the incubator, we had a heater that kept the air temperature warm in there. What happens when sometimes a chick hatches out and seems healthy, but you notice there's something a little different? Let's look at this chick. See him? He still, when he hatched out, had a little bit of liquid left on him from the hatch, and a piece of his egg got stuck on his bottom. On his backside there, that egg piece will sometime have to come off. And if it doesn't, what will happen is it will stick to the feathers and the feathers will come out. So as that chick gets a little bit older, I'm going to try to crack that shell a little bit so that it doesn't pull out a lot of the feathers that you see on the chick. One of the reasons why I've decided to use shredded paper as a bedding for my chicks is because it is not slippery or harmful to my chickens. Did you know that this paper is using soy-based ink? So that's helpful. Also, you could use pine shavings as a bedding, or possibly some cut up straw. You could also use paper towels, but you would not want to use paper if it was not shredded. So, important point, shredded paper is best. If you use paper that is not shredded, so it's still whole, then that paper might be slippery and your chick might fall when it is walking. If that chick falls when it is walking, it could hurt itself. So we want to make sure that the bedding we're using in a brooder box is not slippery. Okay, what do you see when you look at these chicks? I see some dark colored chicks, some light colored chicks, some chicks that have varying colors. Look at this chick right here. He's got, oh, that chick is pecking me. Oh no, he likes my finger. He's got some stripes on his back. This chick is all dark. This chick is pretty dark, but some light undersides. And look at this chick, it's all yellow. Notice too that these chicks have different colored legs. Did you ever wonder why eggs are sometimes green or brown or white? Well, every different species, or breed of chicken, some can lay a different color of egg. And that's interesting because it has nothing to do with the contents inside. The inside of the egg is the same, but the outside of the egg is usually linked to the color of the eardrum. So when you look at a chick and you see up there, you see where its ear is. If it's a light colored ear, it could be a white egg. If it's not, it might be different. Sometimes people think that if you look at the feet of the chick, that might be helpful, but it's most important to look at the ear of the chick, and that will help to determine the color of the egg. Remember, all eggs are healthy. They all are a great source of protein for our daily diets, but depending upon what a chick or a hen eats later in life, that could determine the health of the contents inside of the egg. If it's a brown egg, it's just as healthy as a white egg. And even those green eggs are just as healthy as a white egg. All eggs are healthy for us. Okay, moving day is going to be coming up pretty soon. Let me grab this healthy chick. Look at this fluffy chick. What does it have right now that will help keep it warm? It has these fluffy down feathers that you see. And those feathers help to maintain its body temperature so that it can grow up big and strong. As we're thinking about moving it from a brooder box to its permanent home, we have to remember a couple of things. All chickens need to be in a flock. Flocks are very important for their social structure, so it's not a good idea to send one chick to one home. Nope. Instead, we need to make sure that there are groups of at least 3 or 5 before they move on to a permanent home. We also need to make sure that we know where our chickens came from. So it's important to have a form from the hatchery that will take with the chicks to their new permanent home. Let's see these chicks again. You're going to notice some fun things. Notice that these chicks also have some fluff on their legs. Not all of them do, but some breeds do. Some of these breeds will have dark brown eggs. Some of these chickens are Easter eggers, which means they usually lay a blue or a green egg. Look at all those chicks. They're kind of a little scared of my voice because I'm really loud. So notice they're all trying to get away from me in that corner. I bet I look like a monster to those chicks. So when you are near chicks, talk in a really soft voice. You can even sing to them. They really, really like that. But remember, these chicks are going to grow up to be big roosters and hens. And they're going to produce eggs that will feed us too. Which of these chicks do you think will have the biggest egg? I don't know, that yellow chicken is a pretty big chicken. I wonder if that's a rooster just because it's big. I couldn't tell you. It's hard to know by looking at a chick if it's a rooster, which is a male, or if it's a pullet, which is a young female chicken. People get paid a lot of money to be able to determine the sex of a chicken. But there are some chickens that have some traits that are helpful. Let's take a look. Some people say that you can help to determine roosters and hens depending upon the wings when they're hatched. This one has some longer feathers than others. There are some chicks, not any of these, but sometimes there are breeds that have a white spot on the top of their head that will determine if it's a rooster or a pullet. But the best way to determine is to pay someone who is knowledgeable about checking out that sex so that you can see if it is a female or a male. What are some of the uses for female and male birds? Remember, female birds will help to lay eggs to produce more chickens later on, but they cannot do that without the rooster. The rooster plays an important part in helping to fertilize the eggs. As we move these chickens on, it's important to know that most chickens will start to lay eggs in around 18 weeks. My goodness, when you were 18 weeks old, were you able to lay eggs? I don't think so. These chickens are amazing. Let's look at one up close. Remember, these chickens are really important in agriculture. Humans use chickens to help produce eggs, which is a great source of food. And these chickens eat soybeans. Soybeans farmers work really hard to supply the food that Ohio needs to produce eggs for your table at home. These chickens will produce table eggs and fertilized eggs to make more chickens later on. All right, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out. We have had a fantastic time on ChickQuest. We went from eggs that were fertilized to incubated so that the chicks could develop inside to a hatched chick. And in about 18 weeks, this chick will produce more eggs. Okay, have a fantastic day. Thanks for coming along on this ChickQuest egg venture. It's been an excellent time. Remember, you can find these videos and more resources at grownextgen.org. Bye-bye.